There's a directory website that generates $260 million. It's not a social network, not a SaaS platform, a directory, just a searchable database of service providers organized around one specific category: care services. Now that's care.com. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to break down their insanely simple business model completely to show you where every dollar of revenue comes from. I'm going to explain why 5 seemingly, again, simple revenue streams compound into a $250 million a year business. And then I'm going to walk you through the exact strategy that you can use to build a very scaled down version targeting micro niches that care.com will never touch. So by the end, you're going to understand not just how care.com makes money, but also the specific mechanisms that you can copy to create a directory site that adds $6,000 to $150,000 annually to your income very, very easily. So let's go ahead and look more at their website, give you a feel for what it's about. So care.com is a two-sided marketplace. They basically connect families and caregivers broadly across the board. So that means if I look at their menu, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here just to make it easier for us. There we go. If I zoom in, I can see that it's not just care for like childcare, where I might just think it's like babysitters. It's also daycares there, nannies, preschools, activities and camps, all that sort of thing. I also have senior care. So right now in the US and most nations, the largest segment of the population is either the oldest generation or the generation right before that. So they may not be retirees yet, but basically we're really top heavy in older generations. So senior care and industries based around senior care are really, really growing and booming now. So care.com takes advantage of that. They've got in-home caregivers. They got in-home caregivers, senior transportation, companion care, hospice support, respite care, assisted living, independent living, dementia care, much, much more. They also have broadly adult care. So that could be someone with maybe some kind of disability, or in this case, they've got post-surgery support. They got post-surgery support, mobility assistance, transportation, personal hygiene, medical prompting. So a whole bunch of things, companionship, specialized care, pet care, which that one's a little more self-explanatory, but again, not what we would traditionally think of as being this massive market, but it's a several $billion per year industry. Everything from dog sitters and cat sitters to groomers, boarding, trainers, all that stuff. Then, of course, housekeeping, which pretty standard housekeepers, but everything from live-in housekeepers to laundry to house cleaners, cooks, standard cleaning, and then also tutoring. So again, another market where traditionally you might not have even thought this counts as care, but they've managed to put it into their system. And think of how all of this goes together. And I want to really emphasize this before we even get into how all of their revenue streams compound. The people who are looking for, let's say, childcare, let's say they're looking for, a preschool. Well, those people might later on, let's say that's a couple that's in their 30s or something like that. Later on, they might need senior care for their parents, or they might need pet care, or they might need tutoring for that same child that right now is in preschool. So they're really kind of like getting you into an entire ecosystem that they can make money off of. And I want you to bear that in mind, because that's a really, really smart way to think of a directory itself as not just this one little kind of like targeted box that you can only make money when someone comes to your directory and they purchase a premium plan or something like that. You want to think of what else is related to that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in a bit. But anyway, that's kind of like the rough overview of what care.com sells. And now we're going to get into the full revenue model. And again, here, obviously, you can see like profiles. You can filter based on how much you want to pay, what you need help for, all that sort of thing. And then you can also look at profiles and do all that, just like normal directory site stuff. Whereas you and I might have a business on our directory, on our directory site. So I might have like a restaurant or a roofing company or a dentist or whatever, and you click in and see their profile. Here you're clicking in and seeing individual user profiles. So in that way, it really mimics the same experience, but takes it to a different focus and whole different level. And really, this is not like crazy innovative tech that they have. So they have that search functionality, they have messaging and payments. So if I wanted to reach out to this person, now I would have to sign up. See, it says join a contact, but I would be able to message them, and then I can actually go through and do like the payment system. It says that they're background checked and all that sort of thing. And what's really cool about care.com, like I said, it's really comprehensive, and it does expand through a bunch of different categories that people might need. but they're all within that kind of niche of care, defined as care for pets or people, and the really like people of any age, which is really, really crucial here. Whereas if you look at Yelp or something, I mean, you go on Yelp, they make around I want to say $1.46 billion per year, or $1.4 billion per year, but their budget is like $1.28 billion per year. So they're making more money. They're making plenty of money, don't worry. But you go on Yelp, you're looking at restaurants, home and garden, auto services, health and beauty, doctors, camps, mini golf, all that sort of thing. Care.com has really figured out that they want to focus on this niche, and they made it profitable. So let's look at their entire system, because this is what's really, really cool. Again, before we really dive into it though, let's just kind of look at the money, or before we look at the money, so here's what I want you to think of when you think of Care.com. They're like Yelp, but they enable direct hiring through the platform. So you find a provider, you communicate, you verify credentials, and then you complete the transaction all in one system. And the power of Care.com really isn't in any kind of technological sophistication. You see the search is pretty straightforward and basic. It's market positioning. They became the default destination for both sides of the transaction, the caregivers and the people who need care, or the people purchasing care. All right, so before we look at money, understand that centralization is what creates the economic moat. Now let's get into that revenue breakdown. So they've got 5 primary revenue streams. Now, according to Search, in 2024, they have approximately $260 million in revenue. It's $21.7 million monthly. And that takes 5 income streams working together. Now, stream 1 is family membership subscriptions. And let me show you what that looks like. So if we click over here, we click to join now. So if we go under find care, and I actually click on any of these, I can see plans and pricing over here. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. 1 membership, care for the whole family. Click to explore plans. It's going to scroll me down. I'm going to ignore what it tells me. But you see that I've got basically just $13 per month when billed annually, of course, up to about $40 per month billed monthly. So you have these really kind of like different modes where it's either, instead of being like multiple plans, it's just how often are you going to be billed. So if you're billed annually, then the cost per month is down. Obviously, it's more upfront. Billed monthly, the highest cost, about $40. Billed quarterly, it's about $25. But these premium listings are what really unlocks the whole benefit. So it unlocks the messaging, job posts, full profiles, priority support, advanced filters, and it kind of gives the like lifetime value play of, again, connecting you with childcare today, elder care in 5 years maybe for an aging adult, pet sitting, all that sort of thing. And for Care.com, that's predictable recurring revenue. If you have a really good experience for one aspect of care that you're looking for, you're more likely to come back for tutoring, elder care, pet sitting, all that sort of thing. Now, stream 2, that's provider premium services. So this is a key difference between family subscriptions. This isn't really about access. It's about visibility and competitive advantage for the providers of care. So if instead of going to find care, I go to find jobs, and I go to any of this like become a caregiver, successoncare.com, etc. And I click to find jobs. It's going to get me to a place where I need to join to apply. So click join. I'm just going to randomly kind of go through here, which hopefully won't take too long. I don't want to go through and verify it. So I'm not going to take you through the whole process. I don't want to create an account here, so I'm not going to show you exactly how much it costs. But if I were to go through and take this step, then I would get all the benefits of listed here. So it tells me how many different ways that I have to earn, discover new jobs daily, boost earnings, build a whole career, get started with care.com, and it tells me all the things that I get when I pay for a membership. So things like being featured in different search, enhanced profiles with different media, different number of job applications, priority application status, all that sort of thing I can get if I join. And it's hard to kind of see here, but it tells me exactly what I can get if I sign up. Basic and premium membership options. So 2 different membership options. If I do basic, then that'll cover the cost of screening, including my background check and identity verification. But premium benefits, so basic will get me listed and cover my background check, because everyone on here needs to be background checked, which is an advantage that they have compared to just having a random listing site if you find a babysitter on a listing site with no background checks. Premium membership is going to add benefits like higher rankings in search results, priority job alerts, waived background check fees. So I get something that's already valuable with that purchase of a premium membership. The key thing that you want to remember here is when 50 childcare providers are serving the same zip code, the ones that pay for featured placement get significantly more views and opportunities. That visibility gap drives the premium conversion. So the pricing might be $30 to $60 per month, depending upon category and market, higher in metro areas and higher ROI on visibility. Now, stream number 3 is background checks and verification. So speaking of background checks, let me go ahead and show you why this is another avenue of revenue for them. So if I'm actually looking at their care.com's homepage and then I click to find care, I go to the safety center. I'm going to get to their page where they really tout their background checks and the key features to hiring through care.com. So right here, they're building value in their service themselves. So if we scroll down, we can see that not only is it keeping safety at the heart of our community, but it talks about background checks, monitoring, empowering you to stay safe. And it really highlights what I consider a competitive advantage here, which, because trust is fundamental in any kind of care services. So like we've got a dog, and whenever we've looked up someone on, for example, Rover or whatever, we always try to make sure that they have good reviews because it's essential to us that our dog is well taken care of. Well, obviously with your kid, your dog, your grandparents, your parents, you're going to want to make sure that they're well taken care of. The person that you're hiring or people that you're hiring or whatever it is are going to have a background check, criminal checks, motor vehicle records, identity verification, credential verification, references, all those sorts of things. So by having this here and providing that information, it helps people understand that this is really valuable. And so I'm willing to pay, whatever, $40 a month or whatever it might be in order to hire someone that I know I can trust for my parent, my kid, whatever it might be. And then if you think of it that way, that's, again, the one revenue stream we already mentioned of the individuals paying to be able to look up on the site and find care. You're also thinking of the people paying to be listed on here, but there's also a cost for just that background check. And there's a background check fee. Now, premium listings, they get that included, but that's a one-time fee of, $20 to $100 or more, depending upon depth. But basically they're using the background checks to not only make money through them, but also as a competitive advantage here. So both sides are kind of paying in order for this background check to be part of the process. And it's a really, really smart idea. So, and I'm kind of throwing some numbers out here. I don't know the actual costs of like a background check, but let's say the margins on here, the actual cost of a background check is $10 to $15 because they're doing it at bulk. They charge $30 to $50. That's a 100 to 200% margin, just kind of automatically processed, where they're not really taking on additional work through it because they're probably just, hiring that off to someone else. That then brings us to revenue stream 4. So now let's look at stream number 4, transaction and booking fees. So kind of like how Airbnb, Uber, or a lot of the different platforms that are marketplaces, there's a 5 to 15% booking fee depending upon category. And if you go to care.com's site and we scroll down, so we're on their plans and pricing page, we scroll down. I haven't even mentioned this. We can tell you that they have different packages as bonuses, but B, scroll all the way down to the bottom. And are there additional costs beyond, I'm going to zoom in here. Oof. Sorry. I'm going to zoom in here. Are there additional costs beyond the subscription fee? It depends. So families may choose to pay for optional services like background checks or payroll services. Since caregivers set their own rates, the cost of hiring a caregiver will vary, but there are also booking fees if you decide to go with one-time booking. That's something that you want to know, again, upfront, another mechanism that care.com is using to make additional money. So that's another revenue stream. Now, recurring bookings, it sounds like they don't charge for the transaction fee for that. And so I don't know off the top of my head, of course, what that percentage of revenue is. So it's probably not their largest stream, but at the same time, if someone's buying it one-off, there's zero marginal cost of scaling. So for them, it's just free money. And thousands of daily bookings are going to compound to millions annually. Again, probably just one-offs and one-time things that may or may not become recurring later. All right, so let's get to stream number 5, which is advertising and corporate sponsorships. So this could be something like display ads for relevant brands, sponsored content, corporate benefits programs such as Care at Work. And let me show you some of what I'm thinking of. So if I go to list your business and I say early learning centers, I can list my center. I I can guarantee that's not free. So listing my business is another way that Care.com would make money from me. So for example, if I go to list my business, I'm going to open up all three: early learning centers, senior living centers, activities and camps. I can scroll here, list your center. I know for a fact that that's going to cost some money. I don't know the exact amount right here, but let's just say how much. Let's see if Google knows it costs to list my senior care center on care.com. We'll see what it comes up with. The exact pricing is not publicly listed. Yeah, so that's kind of what I thought here. I need to actually contact them for a quote, which I'm not going to do because I don't have a business, or not that kind of a business. But I could do it for a senior care center, an early learning center. And then I also have this bring your staffing goals within reach. So you can actually click on learn more here, and they have recruiting solutions. They have a recruiting arm. So technically that might even be a sixth revenue stream. So that's a lot. Now, obviously you're not going to do all of this. What I'm trying to show you is how comprehensive you can make one single niche, and why you don't necessarily need to say, oh, I'm going to branch out. I'm going to have everyone under the sun in my directory. You can do something like care.com does, where you bring in, like multiple avenues of revenue for one single niche. So you can do something like care.com where you bring in multiple revenue streams for one single niche. So even a local directory, you can do this as well, and it can be focused on your specific area. Those are the 5 revenue streams, but the list isn't what matters. It's why they work together to create compound value. So let's just walk through this customer journey with me. And this is exactly why the model compounds. So care.com generates $260 million, not because each revenue stream is individually massive, but because they extract value from the same customer at multiple points in the journey, and the lifetime value is going to be much, much higher. So a typical customer scenario might be something like a family joins, they start browsing for free, they can't message without premium, so they upgrade to premium for $30 per month. That's revenue capture number 1. Now, point 2 is a background check. Let's say they find a promising provider and they pay $35 for a comprehensive background screening. Provider upgrades. Let's say the provider themselves wants to stand out, so they upgrade from premium to $45 a month for featured placement. So now that's revenue capture number 3 from the provider. Point number 4 is the transaction fee. So let's say that family hires through the platform and care.com takes 8% of $600 for the first payment. That's $48. Point number 5, let's say repeat usage. So the family tried that out one time for, let's say, for an extended nanny or something like that. 6 months later, they need a pet sitter. So they're already on premium. They search again because now they're in system. They want to get the value. Let's say there's a one-time vacation they go on. So there's another transaction fee. Pet sitter is staying one time. So that's more revenue through that same avenue of transaction fee. One initial family acquisition might create something like 5 separate payment events across 2 different user types, the provider and the family, over 6 months. That's why marketplace businesses compound. You monetize supply and demand separately, and then monetize the transaction between them. But they're extremely complicated and hard to set up in that particular way. The actual transaction takes a lot more work, but it does have that network effect. As they grow, as they get more caregivers, then more families sign on because they know it's a good place to search. So they have more selection, and that drives demand. More families in turn mean more caregivers sign up because they know it's a great place to find clients. So opportunities for caregivers compound and drive supply. Growth increases value to each participant. This ultimately supports higher pricing and lower churn. So Seattle Search shows 200 plus verified providers. So that's the compounding mechanism. Care.com works for another reason. They chose the right market. These 3 characteristics tell you which other markets would support this model. Characteristic number 1, high pain problem. So it's a stressed parent, or maybe a stressed child of an aging parent. This isn't a mildly inconvenient thing. It's stressful, time critical, and high stakes. Parents might need child care to return to work, or they might need elder care to prevent crisis situations. These are urgent needs that have a real emotional weight, so we can't just wait around and put it off. The market size data is also true. The childcare industry is $60 billion plus annually in the US. Senior care is $400 billion plus. Pet care is $140 billion plus. These are massive growing categories with consistent demand. Characteristic number 2 is a trust requirement. Again, I showed you that trust and safety page. People don't really invite strangers into their homes and trust them with vulnerable family members, whether it's kids or parents or just their spouse, or why centralized marketplaces with verification create inherent value. So think about the alternatives that are out there. You've got like Craigslist or Facebook, but they have zero verification. Meanwhile, $30 a month for background checks and reviews and identity verification, it's pretty much the obvious choice. The other thing you've got is defensibility. Once trust is established, switching means rebuilding from scratch. So behavioral inertia is going to keep users on the platform. If they find something great for their child for preschool, and then they find a tutor, and then they find a pet sitter, and then they find elder care, they're great. They'd rather simplify things. Characteristic number 3 is a fragmented supply. So you've got all these different providers of care, of different types of care all over the map. A lot of them are independent service providers, and they're just scattered geographically. This is the central thing in bringing them together. There's no dominant corporate player aggregating that supply. Individual providers, meanwhile, need a platform to reach customers because there are also customers everywhere without a singular place to find them. And they can't effectively or efficiently market themselves at scale. So the directory actually creates value here. It aggregates that fragmented supply and makes it searchable. For families, it's centralized access to providers, centralized visibility, and access to families. So again, remember these 3 things: high pain problem, trust requirement, fragmented supply. These are the 3 characteristics that make care services ideal for the directory marketplace model, and they exist in dozens of other categories Care.com doesn't touch. So don't worry, you do not have to create something the same. I'm going to show you exactly how this connects to your opportunity. You will not compete with Care.com directly, and you shouldn't try it. The actual strategy that you want to have is something that makes a lot more sense, doesn't require millions of dollars of investment. It's the micro niche strategy. Your reality check is Care.com has brand recognition, millions of users, corporate partnerships, unlimited capital. It's not your play. That's not what I want you to take away from this. Your actual strategy is to identify micro niches, the same characteristics, but none of Care.com's attention. So build a focused directory on serving a specific subset. It should be too small for Care.com to care about. It should be large enough though to generate $6,000 to $150,000 annually for you as a solopreneur or a small team. The easiest way to go about this is to have a geographic focus. So think of your town or city, or a town or city nearby, a major metro area, or even a region like Eastern Kentucky or Eastern Memphis. Instead of competing nationally, you can dominate one metro or region. Here's why something like this is going to work much, much better than trying to create a national directory, everything off the bat. Even though the addressable market is smaller, the competition is smaller too. So you're not really fighting things like Care.com's SEO or marketing budget. Instead, you're building local authority through targeted outreach, partnerships with pet stores or vet clinics, and focused content. So what can you learn from Care.com, and how does it actually apply to you? Well, first off, I don't think you should try to do these 5 different revenue streams or potentially 6. That's not really going to be the fastest way to make a ton of money. That's going to spread you way too thin. Also, 2-sided marketplaces like Care.com, really expensive to set up, and there's a lot of like front-loaded costs that take time to pay off, because for that kind of site, you need a lot of people coming in on both sides of the market in order to really make your money. Otherwise, it doesn't have as much value. However, what I want you to do is to create a directory site. The easiest thing is to do like a local area, like a city. So for example, I created this one for Round Rock, Texas, and I've got businesses listed on here, and I reach out to them. I sell premium listings. I provide them with AI agents or marketing, and I do all of that through Go High Level. This is all built out of the box in about 20 minutes to set it up, and about 1 to 2 hours to start doing the full prospecting. That's the kind of model that I recommend. Why? I sell premium listings for $149 per year, or sorry, I think $199 per year on this. And then if I also get people who are going to be like clients for AI agents, for Google Business Profile, for local SEO, for all that sort of thing, that's going to be anywhere from $497 per month through above $2,000 per month per client. So that's going to be like your 2 easiest things to fulfill: those premium listings that people can pay for and the actual services that you do. That's what I recommend. Again, it comes out of the box. I use Smart Directory AI on this, and you get full training. So, full disclosure, the name of this channel is Smart Directory AI. So this is a lot of what we talk about are directories, but you get full training on exactly what to do. This training all comes with the software. So you know exactly what to do. It tells you the express setup. The total watch time is 39 minutes. You can get a lot done. If you watch it as like 2x speed, you can get most of the setup done within 20 minutes or less. We have a whole video where Tom does it in 17 minutes. You have email outreach, you customize the site itself, add in all of your like listings, and do AI prospecting. Makes it really easy. That's what I recommend for you. But before you even hop in here, you want to take some lessons from Care.com when it comes to like what niche to pick and how to really frame yourself. So pick a niche. Again, local market is perfect. You can also pick an industry niche. So if you like, you you have an HVAC background, for example, that's a great niche to pick, and you could do a nationwide directory of HVAC companies. You could also do a regional or like semi-local, so like statewide, for example, plus industry niche. So you could have Texas HVAC companies, or you could do something like I did, which is Round Rock, Texas, and that's one city, and I have all different services in there. So I've got dining, services like roof repair, auto repair, American food, burgers, Indian restaurants, all that sort of thing, all within this one website itself. Any one of those three options are going to be really good. You want to make sure though that you're thinking of what people need. So the directory is really the entrance into this world of providing some kind of value for them. So let's say they get a directory listing from you. What's the next thing that they're going to need? Well, maybe if they've got a website that isn't really up to date, maybe they need a new website, and you can do that for them. And so all the businesses that you put in your directory, maybe all of them are businesses where you've looked at their website and you know that they could use a new website. So your entire prospecting funnel is just based off of that. Or maybe you're more like me, you add a bunch of different businesses in a local market. Some of them need websites, some of them need AI agents, some of them need local SEO, and I can categorize those businesses and reach out to them in different chunks and gradually, get my foot in the door and then eventually offer services. We have a bunch of videos explaining exactly how to do this. I can't guarantee that you're going to make $260 million per year. In fact, I can almost definitely guarantee you won't. But if we're talking about an extra couple thousand, $100,000 or more, it's certainly doable. The owners of Smart Directory AI, they make 1.6 million or more from their agency, and they use these exact same methods and techniques in order to get their clients. So this stuff works, and I want you to take the lessons from Care.com of really thinking about revenue in a different way. Dive in, figure out the right niche, look at what they need, and supply that. That's everything for now. Links in the description, free trial of Smart Directory AI, also free trial of Go High Level, which it's built on if you need that, and you get all the training materials, everything right off the bat. There's no gate for the free trial, so you get all of that information that's really, really helpful right off the bat. You can start earning money before you even spend a dime. I'll see you on the next one.